Good morning, Professor Dr. Nico Ofrop and TA team. My name is Len Saigon, the student of MBA and DBA dual program. Today, I'm so excited to present my final course project. The title of my project is A Data-Driven Approach to Pricing and Cost Optimization in International Business Training Services with a case study of SIMEX Academy. And in this presentation, I will take on the role of an economic advisor while also speaking as the owner and operator of SIMEX Academy, a training provider specializing in international business in Vietnam. With the advantage of being directly involved in running a business, I do believe that I am able to combine a real operational data with the economic principle to deliver a more rounded analysis and practical, actionable recommendation. Regarding the structure of this presentation, I will walk through the key findings of my analysis in a clear and logical sequence, so I think it will be easier for your following. I will mention about the problem, economic analysis, options, recommendation, and data-backed justification. And the structure of my work still follows the standard format of a formal paper, including the following main sessions. Number 1, executive summary. Number 2, context and problem definition. Number 3, economic analysis. And number 4 is generalist options. Number 5 is recommendation and implementation. Number 6, scenario analysis. Number 7, conclusion. And number 8, appendices. And the final is references. So now I would like to begin with the first part, executive summary. This study is conducted to analyze and redesign the pricing trajectories at SIMEX based on real operational data. Now, let's dive into some data to gain a deeper understanding of SIMEX business operations. As we can see from the chart and the data, which clearly show that demand at SIMEX is highly different. Specifically, you can see around 70% of customers are individual learners who are highly price sensitive. And while the remaining 30% are corporate clients who have a higher willingness to pay. And in the next chart, we can see that almost 80% of customers tend to ask about discount before enrolling, indicating that price plays a very critical role in the purchasing decision. And from an operational factor, each class has a maximum capacity of 20 students, but actual enrollment ranges from about 10 to 17 students. This is equal to utilization rate of 50% to 85%. You can see. And based on my analysis of SIMEX internal business report, I would like to highlight a few key insights. With this data, I see the average cost per class is approximately 15 million Vietnam dong, meaning that fluctuation in enrollment lead to remarkable changes in average cost and overall financial performance. Most importantly, the company's actual revenue reaches only about 25% of its annual target, highlighting a substantial gap between expectation and market reality. Based on this finding, this study recommends that SIMEX shift toward a segmented pricing trajectory combined with service bundling and time-based pricing adjustment in order to maximize revenue, improve class fill rate, and enhance overall result efficiency. Now I would like to move on the second part of my analysis, context and problem definition. SIMEX Academy is a training provider offering short-term programs in international business. serving both individual learners and corporate clients. In this business model, revenue depends directly on number of students enrolled in each course, while operating costs are relatively fixed, including lateral fees, facility, and marketing expenses. As a result, pricing decisions do not only affect revenue but also have a direct impact on capacity utilization and profit margin. From a market perspective, the training industry today is highly competitive with many training centers, online learning platforms, and alternative options available. You can see SIMEX has many competitors in the market. Customers therefore face low switching costs and can easily compare prices, which has led to increasing price sensitivity, especially among individual learners. In contrast, corporate clients tend to focus more on quality, practical relevance, and training effectiveness, making them less sensitive to price. By the way, I also do like to show you some of our customers. You can see SIMEX has many customers now. This creates a key characteristic of the market. Demand is so different. However, SIMEX's current pricing trajectory remains relatively uniform, applying a single price across all customer segments. And this leads to main issues. First, the firm is not fully capturing the willingness to pay of corporate clients. Second, the current price may act as a barrier for price-sensitive individual learners, reducing conversion rate and negatively affecting class fill rate. At the same time, the cost structure is not closely integrated into pricing decisions, leading to a lack of alignment between demand, pricing, and cost. Therefore, the key managerial question is how should SIMEX redesign its pricing trajectories to better reflect differences in demand elasticity, while optimizing capacity utilization and financial performance over the next 12 months. So, to address this key question, I will now move into the third part, economic analysis, focusing on three main factors: demand, cost, and capacity. First, from the demand side, the data clearly show a very clear difference across customer segments. Individual learners tend to be highly price sensitive, as related in fact that most customers ask about discount before enrolling. In contrast, corporate clients have a higher willingness to pay and are less sensitive to price. This reflects clear differences in demand elasticity across segments. However, the current pricing remains relatively uniform, ranging around 6.5 to 7 million Vietnam dong. This suggests that the firm may be underpricing for corporate clients while not fully optimizing demand from individual learners. From the cost perspective, with an average cost of around 15 million Vietnam dong per class and around 17 students per class, the average cost per student is about 880,000 Vietnam dong compared to current tuition level. The profit margin per student is relatively high. However, the key issue is not just the margin per student, but the ability to maintain a stable number of students. From a capacity standpoint, if the number of students drops, for example, drops to 10 students per class, the average cost per student increase significantly, leading to a sharp decline in financial efficiency. On the other hand, if the class reaches close to its maximum capacity of 20 students, the average cost decreases and profitability improve substantially. This indicates that pricing decision must be closely aligned with the goal of optimizing class fill rates. From a theoretical perspective, the marginal cost of adding one more student is very low, which creates a strong incentive for the firm to increase enrollment. However, increasing enrollment depends on pricing, which creates a critical trade-off between price and quantity. Based on this analysis, I propose three main categories options for SIMEX. The first option is to continue with the current uniform pricing model. The advantage of this approach is that it is very simple and easy to implement. However, the downside is that it does not optimize revenue and fails to capture the differences across customer segments. The second option is to adopt segmented pricing, where the firm set different price levels for different customer groups. This approach can help increase revenues and improve class fill rates, but it requires stronger managerial and operational capabilities. And the third option is to combine segmented pricing with service bundling and time-based pricing adjustment. This is the most optimal option as it not only increases revenues per customer but also helps manage demand more effectively over time. Based on the analysis, finally, I would like to recommend that SIMEX adopt to a combined strategy of segmented pricing, service bundling, and dynamic pricing. This strategy should be applied in three phases. The first phase focuses on collecting and analyzing data to clearly identify customer segments. The second phase involves testing different pricing levels and service bundles through pilot programs. And the final phase is to scale and optimize the territories based on the real operational data. Throughout the implementation process, it is very important to check key metrics such as class fill rates, revenue per class, and overall profitability. In the next part of this presentation, I would like to move on to the sensitivity analysis session, which is very important for testing the real-world robustness of treasury. First, the data show that SIMEX revenue fluctuates re- remarkably from month to month, ranging from around $110 million to nearly 470 million Vietnam dong. This clearly indicates that demand is not stable and is highly dependent on timing. One particularly important insight here is that each additional student generates a very high marginal revenue, while the additional cost is almost negligible. In other words, each extra student is almost pure profit. However, on the downside, if the number of students drops, for example, drops to around 10 students per class, the average cost per student nearly doubles. And this reduces the financial efficiency of each class. Therefore, the biggest risk for SIMEX is not setting the price too high, but rather failing to maintain a stable number of students over time. And this insight is exactly the foundation for recommending the flexible pricing strategy instead of a fixed pricing approach across the entire market. Finally, I would like to tell you the conclusion of this analysis. In summary, The optimal pricing trajectory for SIMEX does not lie in a fixed price, but in a flexible pricing system, thus is designed based on real data. Implementing this trajectory not only helps the company increase revenues, but also improve class utilization and strengthens long-term competitiveness. And in practice, as the owner and operator of SIMEX, I have continuously applied these trajectories direction over the past 3 years. And the result has been clear improvement in both business performance and operational efficiency. This further reinforces that the data-driven, economics-based approach is not only theoretically sound, but also fully practical in real-world application. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. Bye bye.